Do leaders really care about their employees? That was the headline for Annette France's latest article, and in her article, she points to some pretty stark statistics. Among other things, reports France, 88% of employees in the United States feel that they work for a company that doesn't care for them.
88%.
88% believe their company doesn't care about them. 67% of employees don't trust their leaders. They don't. 2/3 don't trust their leaders. 7% of people in one survey said they'd been hospitalized due to workplace stress.
Hospitalized?
Yeah.
Not just like I need a day.
No, not just, but so stressed out they had to seek help.
Wow, jeez.
Okay. France then kind of sums it up like this. What France says is, quotes, "The problem, leaders don't care about their employees. Instead, employees are viewed as a cog in the wheel to leaders' success. Leaders drive toward growth, to numbers, and forget about the needs and the lives of the employees who help them get there."
Let me clarify that. So what she's saying is, the quote there is that leaders are concerned about employees driving their success. So what she said is, she said that leaders are concerned about employees helping them have their own success, not the success of the organization.
That's not the way, well, yeah.
That's what the quote read. Now, I'm not sure if that's exactly what she meant, but that's how I'm interpreting it.
The way I interpreted that is their focus is on the company and the bottom line and so on and so forth, and employees are simply a means to the end.
Got it.
Yeah.
But like
which, of course, does make them look good as well.
Right,
course,
but what I'm saying is that seemed to me to be more of a personal, I'm the leader, you're here to help me have success, and the company.
Okay.
But I don't know, maybe she didn't mean it that way. If it's a broader meaning, I think it's a little bit better. But
well, see, and this is actually, you're kind of getting to my what I want to get into a little bit. I mean, we like Annette. I mean, she's been on the show. She has a great column. I like the way that she thinks most of the time. She writes a lot of great articles about the customer experience. And like I said, I think she was on the show here 3-4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I'm a little uncomfortable with her statement that regardless of whether you interpret it the way I took it or the way you took it, because I think it's a bit too broad a brush, to me anyway. I think it implies or even reinforces this stereotype of the CEO as a money-grubbing, heartless, greedy, soul-sucking vampire, whose goal is to leave nothing but an empty husk behind of his or her employees, right?
now, mind you, those people exist.
They exist. I agree. Those people certainly do exist. But I think much closer to reality is that CEOs simply don't know or understand how to lead with heart, which we'll get to in a little bit, or the importance even of leading with heart. They lead the way they were taught, right? This is what you do. You look at the bottom line. I mean, that's what the boss does, right? But I think there's a difference between being a poor leader by design, greedy, as opposed to being a poor leader by ignorance. And here's why this distinction is critical. And I know you probably think, well, what? The outcome's the same. Regardless of why you're a poor leader and you're treating your employees like trash. But the distinction is critical, and here it's why. If your assumption is that a leader is simply morally and ethically bankrupt, then you might as well leave the company, because there's nothing you're going to do. If you really believe that your leader is Charlie Manson, there's nothing you can do with that, right? It's just like, okay, well, if he truly is Charlie Manson, then you're done, right? I mean, you might as well just leave, because you're not going to get that person to change. Yeah. It's ingrained. It's who they are. Yeah. But on the other hand, if you consider perhaps that the leader of your company, your CEO, is a normal human being, just like you, with faults, just like you,
me,
and that they really want to do a good job, just like you, then you have a place to start working on changing that leader's perspective. And you have to have that attitude. You have to have that at least benefit of the doubt. going forward. Otherwise, where are you going to start if you're going to say, look, we need to work with this leadership because the way they're doing all this is all wrong. The employees are demoralized, so on and so forth. If you don't look at the leader as possibly somebody who can be molded, who can be shown that, look, there's a better way that'll take care of the employees and meet the bottom line at the same time. If you don't think you can do that, if you don't give them the benefit of the doubt, you might as well not even start. Right. Because then it's just an adversarial relationship and, forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Annette France does have some suggestions on how leaders can change their perspective. First and foremost, she says, it's a choice. Everything we do in our lives as humans, as leaders, is a choice, says Franz, and so you can choose to lead differently. You can choose to align with the rest of the leadership team and the goals of the business. You can choose to care. Also, you can establish core values and guiding principles that set the tone for the company culture, one that puts people first. Create an environment based on trust and respect. You can adopt a servant leader mentality. We see that term coming back now. It was real popular back in the days of Ken Blanchard, 20 years ago. We talked about servant leadership. It's coming to the fore again. And this last one, which I think was really interesting. Leaders, Annette France says, leaders must choose to put their employees' well-being ahead of all other goals and outcomes. Now, I can see a bunch of CEOs saying, wait a minute, I love my employees, but part of taking care of them is to make sure that the company succeeds.
Sure.
If the company doesn't succeed, the employees have no job, and what good is that for anybody, right? So where is the balance? And I think that's where we get into this a little bit is, are they necessarily mutually exclusive? Can you put your employees first and meet the goals of the company, which are all obviously to be a successful company, to make money for you, to make money for the shareholders if it's publicly owned, that sort of stuff? Are these mutually exclusive? And I don't think they are. It does take a different mindset, though. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think my first takeaway here is that change is hard. I mean, you read an article like this, and maybe you recognize yourself in it as a leader, and you say, well, boy, that's a good point. And you assume you're not a sociopath, and you actually do want to change.
Right.
You say, that's great, I want to do that. But what happens, I think, and I know this from personal experience, is that you go in it with the intentions, but we all have a certain psychological profile that will cause you to fall back into your patterns. You have to be really aware of it, and it takes a really long, months many times, focused attempt to do that. To say, listen, I'm slipping back into not delegating, or I'm slipping back into getting angry, or I'm slipping back into not thinking about my employees' needs so much, of being a servant leader as, we got to get this done. You do it. Don't ask me any questions. Many people fall into those habits, and even as they're doing it, they're saying, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, but whatever, I'm stressed out.
But I got to meet this goal,
whatever, right?
The shareholders are, screaming.
So, it's my takeaway is that it takes a focused intent, and people need to remind each other. I think the best thing you got going for you, and we have it here at Quality Digest, and I think it's to our great benefit, is the ability to just kind of course correct each other. To be honest and say, listen, I need you to give me more here. I need you to help me with this. Or I need you to hear what I'm saying. This is what my concern is. I mean, if you start with having a very open relationship amongst the team, everything else kind of gets easier. The change kind of gets easier because you can reflect it back to one another. If you start with I'm this and you're that and we're siloed, you can start making these changes, but they're never going to stick because you're always going to fall back into your habits of what you've built up for your career.
Well, it's a cultural change.
It's a cultural change, and you got to start with that. You start with the culture. Again, you start hopefully with this idea that we're all in it together, and we're going to have some communication, and we're going to be. It's just like any other relationship. You communicate about what you're actually feeling, and not hide what you're feeling. You got a much better chance of actually having the change that you all want to see happen. And being better at it. Good stuff by Annette France. We do like her a lot. Yeah, she does good.